How's everybody doing? My name is Thomas. Passion in the fire service has always been big to me. It's what got me here, drove me. I have a grandfather who's a retired captain of the Stockton Fire Department, 31 years, and he worked at Truck Company 4 in the neighborhood I grew up in. So I grew up 2 doors down from him. I was fortunate to spend a lot of mornings in the garage listening to the scanner, and he'd explain the calls. So I've been a firefighter since it was called a firefighter. So yeah, I like training. I'm a state instructor. I love live fire training. We all do. You know, it's like a scrimmage in baseball or football, rugby, whatever you guys play. But there's some things we don't talk about as much. I think they're equally important. Nowadays, firefighter rescue is very important because we've seen line of duty deaths at a number of roughly 100 is the number that we say. The numbers I found, it's about an average of 95 now since 2007, which unfortunately what I'm going to speak to you about, there's not a lot of specific numbers for because it's kind of a faux pas. We don't like to talk about stuff like this sometimes. It can get a little touchy-feely. But there are, in fact, firefighter suicides at about the same number. So just as much as we're training on ways to save ourselves in fire and be safe and wear these new shiny vests on the freeway, I think it's important to start talking about mental wellness in the fire service. When my grandpa was on the job, it was, you got to be a tough guy, you got to keep quiet, to the extent of pre-SCBA, if you would take your helmet off and break a window and stick your head out, catch some air at a hot job, that was frowned upon. Well, fast forward to today, we're wearing our masks. I think fast forward to today, maybe we should start talking about some of the things that are troubling people. So mental wellness in the fire service, let's get into it. This is a firefighter. A lot of us look different, but I think the public image is loosely this. I say that because if you Google it, you'll find this guy 100 times. And what do we see here? We see a very straight look. You know, the public expects a very brave, almost Superman in a helmet, okay? So there's a stigma. We're fearless, you're brave, courageous, emotionless. I paraphrase a quote here. I gave credit to Mark Twain as well as Nelson Mandela because they've said it long before me in different wording, but I put it together a few different people in the best way that resonates with me. Courage is not the absence of fear, but holding the task with awareness of danger. To say you're not, you don't experience fear when you're 100 feet in the air at the tip of the aerial, I would disagree. Fear is an awareness. You know, if I fall, you know what's going to happen. So bravery is not that we never get scared. We get scared. We experience emotion. Emotionless is faux pas, okay? We experience emotion, and just as we train on stuff like this, we need to consider training in mental wellness. So here we are out on the fire ground training, right? Nice sunny day, because we don't train in the rain, because fire doesn't happen in the rain, right? Wrong. But here we are, nice swept parking lot. We got a car set up. Everybody's got their eye protection on. We got our new shiny new equipment here. Everything's just right, okay? So we're out doing our training, and this is best case scenario, though. You know, what do we do when it's not that way? A friend of mine, Nick Diaz, said to me, well, I train hard for all my fights, but a fight's kind of like a car wreck. You can't train for exactly what's going to happen. You know, he trains in jiu-jitsu. He's an amazing boxer. He's a triathlete. This guy's ready. This guy's ready at all times for all things, right? That's what we would expect? No, you're hearing it here from the champ, that you can't train for everything. In firefighting, there's such a variety of calls we go on. You would tell me about a car accident you went on. You would tell me about a high-angle rescue, and there'd be similarities. They're all going to be different. We can go on one up the block here, which would be similar but very different from Detroit, Philadelphia, Middle Nebraska. Who knows, right? So we can never train for exactly what's going to happen. This happened last month in my fire department. It was early morning call. You could see it's dark out. We were in bed, and a vehicle accident comes in. Crews respond to a vehicle accident. One of the captains passes by a car a black car on the side of a causeway and says, man, someone's going to hit that car because there's no lights on, it's a black car. Well, somebody did hit that car because while they were operating at another scene, a secondary accident occurred, and that's what you're seeing here. So you see here, this is a bridge. These guys are 30 feet down here. So a budget truck hits that black car, drops 30 feet down, and this is a far cry from that car on its side on the sunny day. Everybody's got all their equipment and everybody's ready to go. They read the training plan. What you see here ended up being a fire suppression call because this car caught fire. There was an entrapment. The crews are still working here to get the driver out, as well as a high-angle rope rescue. So as much as we train, when are we ever trained for this? We train for high-angle rope rescue, rescue systems 1, rescue systems 2. We get car fires, and we're getting pretty good at those. Cars are changing on us. And then extrication. Our department's got wonderful equipment. Our guys are highly trained. But on this day, this early morning in the dark, these guys had to rappel down this bridge, send down their extrication equipment, the rest. You guys know the job. I'm speaking here to firefighters. So you guys know what this entails. But the guy escaped with minor burns. Well, didn't escape. He was extricated with minor burns to the legs. Okay. Crews did an amazing job. Sometimes it doesn't always go as well as it did here. And sometimes, if this wasn't a secondary call, the response time would have been longer. You guys can imagine what might have happened differently. How do you train for this? I won't leave it up there very long because we go on some of those calls. Okay? How do you train for that? Here, with the experts, we sit around the table. Everybody's a therapist. Everybody's seen it. I remember one of the first things I remember coming on the job, some of the older guys told me, hey, kid, get your first divorce out of the way because it's coming. Unfortunately, that's something we experience in this job. It takes an emotional toll on us, okay? You bring some of it home, you try not to, but we don't train on that. If we train on that, maybe those numbers would drop, So, but anyway, here you are at the kitchen table, you're talking to the experts. This guy's lecturing on maybe that, on how to deal with that. Suppress it. Let's not talk about it, okay? Let's just, we'll make a joke about it. Firefighters, as well as the military, perhaps are famous for gallows humor. The stuff that we joke about, you might not joke about with your electrician buddy or your wife, certainly not your kids. But that's kind of how we deal with it, and sometimes it's effective. But I would submit that maybe it's just a form of suppressing and a distracting mechanism. So this is in fact what it becomes in many circumstances. Paul Combs, he's a great illustrator, does a lot of stuff for the fire service. And he's in the fire service as well. But those traumatic calls never get to you, do they? You're a rock, buddy. Sometimes it's the straightest faced guy. He's quiet. You think he's wearing it so well, but you don't know inside. He's just kind of holding it together. And again, we know the different guys and gals in the fire service that have dealt with their issues because of this. Divorce and other things, and you just see some of those guys, they walk around pretty macho and tough, but inside, it might be a different story. So, mental wellness, what is it? Well, wellness is the quality or state of being healthy in body and mind, especially as the result of deliberate effort. Okay, we think of health and wellness, we think of fitness. Am I going to go out and run a marathon if I've never run around the block? No, you got to do something to build up to that, don't you? Okay, so deliberate effort, that's where this comes in. Wellness isn't just, that guy's skinny, he's healthy, or this guy's built like a block, he must be strong. That's not the case, especially when it comes to your mentation. So wellness involves many things. I narrowed it down to nutrition, fitness, mental stillness, and therapy. It's just all about what things are you using, and there could be many more. These are the ones that I'm talking about here, but I know one of them sticks out there to people. Nutrition, what do you like to choose? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to maintain a strict vegan diet. But eat your vegetables. They're good for you. It's good stuff in there. And I'm not going to tell you I don't enjoy a cheeseburger with bacon and avocado and barbecue sauce and onion rings. You can see I've thought about this. I enjoy that. But nutrition is the act or process of nourishing, sustenance, okay? So are you putting stuff in your body to fuel your body to perform well, or are you, turning yourself into something? Perhaps here on the right, which is interesting here. The guy on the right has two different kinds of food. The guy on the left has an apple and a dumbbell. Have you ever noticed that if you're working out a little bit and you eat right, they build upon each other. It's almost like iron sharpening iron. If you've been spending time in the gym, maybe you second guess that milkshake. Or if you've been eating well, maybe you're like, hey, I'm feeling pretty healthy, maybe I can work out a little bit, and then they compound on each other in a positive way. So again, you see here, this is a well-tuned machine that they're dialing in. This is rusty. You got a couple plumbers over there, probably with their cracks showing, and just barely hanging on, right? Okay, so it's a process. Fitness, right? That's what it looks like? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not asking you guys to be this. I'm not that. I think those might even be actors. They're too good looking, right? The normal guys. Some French firefighters, apparently. So fitness, what's it look like? Is this what fitness looks like? Well, I'm not asking you to be this. I'm saying don't be this. The public, they pay us a fair wage. The public pays us a fair wage. They vote for us when it's time to. They support us. We have long-standing good public relations because I feel we've earned them. Are you continuing to earn them? Because it reflects poorly when this guy is the guy that shows up. One of our brothers mentioned earlier, they don't ask for two chumps in a pickup. They ask for an expert right now, 5 minutes ago. They want a doctor. They want a hazmat specialist, plug. They want aces, right? Okay, so I'm just saying don't be this. I was the physical fitness coordinator for the A shift on my fire department for a couple years. And competitions with each other have long made us better. I think Brother Fulmer was speaking on that. Who pulls the hose the fastest? Who throws the ladder the best? Brother Klein. I have found it also shuts some people down because the guy that's 47 on the job and the guy that's 27 on the job, they're at different levels. So I advocated participation, okay? A time of participation. So when you hopefully take something back from this talk, but when you take it to your department, hopefully you'll just encourage participation. Because if you can get everybody in there for 20 minutes at their level, a couple months down the road, their level for 20 minutes will be higher. So we're all getting better together, but we can't all maintain the same bar. Mental stillness. This might be the one where everybody saw on that little short list, okay, eat right, fitness, that all makes sense. This is the one where people start getting weird about it. There's a stigma. Meditations for yogis, right? Oops, wrong yogi. This guy, okay? So there's a stigma. This guy, some hippie on the beach, he's sensitive, he's touchy-feely, he's weak. It's a stigma. If we talk about it, we can break down these stigmas and lose them. You might find the guy in the app bay trying to do this. Oh, I'm working on my back. Okay, he's doing a little yoga down here. It's a stigma. But yoga here, this is actually a good point. Yoga, it's good for you. They have hot yoga nowadays. Is it trendy? Is it goofy? Does it make you weak? I've tried it. I've enjoyed it. I'd say it makes you mentally tough to spend an hour and a half doing uncomfortable poses in a 110-degree room, I believe it is. It makes you mentally tough. You want to leave the room, you can't. And we work in hot environments a lot, right? So I would submit it's great for firefighters. Patty Brown of the New York City Fire Department was a yoga practitioner. Also a Marine, also a boxer, and one of the most highly decorated firefighters in New York Fire Department's history. And so, I mean, if I can, dispel anything that makes you weak, I think Patty Brown is the number one for that. So, those who are unconquered in spirit are the real successes in life. If you can so train or condition your mind that you are content regardless of what you have or do not have, and if you can stand the challenge of all your trials and remain calm, that is true happiness. Paramahansa Yogananda. this guy right here, which Steve Jobs was brought up. I think we would say he was an intellectual great. He focused, he was passionate about his product so much so that he sacrificed his life to be better at this. I bring him up because this, the autobiography of a yogi, written by Yogananda, is the one book that Steve Jobs reread every year of his life. It is said that he had a tablet, probably an iPad, that this was downloaded to, and he reread it every year of his life. So don't take my word for it. Maybe check it out and see if it does anything for you. But Steve Jobs swore by it. So again, what are we mentally prepared for? You have to excuse some of the images, but we go on these calls, don't we? I won't leave them up there very long. But where do we take that? Where do we take that information on that emergency call? We take it right back here to the experts. Now, I'm not saying the guys and gals on the job, 20 years experience, 10 years experience, different life experiences are not helpful. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. They are very helpful, and we take care of each other and we support each other. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes we bad talk each other. Somebody's weak because they couldn't handle this. And if I can accomplish anything by bringing this up, I'm just trying to share with you that there's a wall we need to break down. There's a faux pas, there's a stigma on mental wellness in the fire service. And until we can accept that and start training for that, we're going to continue to have high numbers, which is, as I mentioned, almost equal to the line of duty deaths annually. And that's just reportable ones, because as I should mention, there's such a stigma on it that these things don't go properly reported. So, veterans, we hear about suicides among veterans, but suicides among firefighters and first responders are still occurring. So here we are with our pride attached to our foot. And what's it causing in the fire service? Things like depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, marital stress. We don't have a good rate of success in marriage. And down here, a really ugly shark waiting for you, suicide. And if you haven't experienced that to a close one to you, there's nothing more humbling than the helplessness of losing a loved one to suicide. So here we are, back to our strong, brave, fearless, courageous firefighter, emotionless. No. This is a firefighter. This is my firefighter right here. Couldn't find the brother's name. Here he is saluting and shedding a tear. I believe this is at a memorial for 9/11. This is a New York City firefighter. It's okay to get mad. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to be passionate about the good and the bad that happens. Just as it's okay to triumph, it's okay to cry. And it's okay to talk to somebody about it if it sticks with you. Billy Lewis was my friend. He was an instructor over 20 years in the fire service. Here he's at burn camp. We're counselors at burn camp. I was a counselor, Billy was a counselor. Billy was affecting change. Billy is making a difference. Billy has passion for the fire service. Billy left the fire service better than it was when he came. Here's a tattoo of an old steamer on his arm. You don't find passion like this. Billy was the guy. Always there for you when you needed him. Billy's the look of the fire service. We lost him a month ago today. PTSD. He battled with it, battled it, sought help, took some time off the job, tried to come back. And we lost him to it. I would encourage you guys and gals of the fire service, even if you just have to be the one, be that change that cleans something that's dirty. The person, you don't have to step on a soapbox and preach it, but maybe be the person that doesn't participate in bad talking people that struggle maybe lend an ear, maybe lend a hand. Like I said, there's nothing more humbling than being helpless when something like this occurs. I'm not a doctor, I'm a firefighter, but I care for people. I cared for Billy. I still do. He's a friend of mine. It's a real thing. And let's stop perpetuating the tough guy image in the fire service. Let's start talking about it. Let's seek help. It's available out there. Whether it's your EAP, your Employee Assistance Program, whether it's the Firefighter Behavioral Alliance. It's online. You guys can check it out. But there's studies being done. There's help available to you. If you can't talk to anybody, you could talk to me. I'll provide you with my phone number or my email. We got to take care of each other just like we take care of the public. We can't forget our safety is important, and if that's what we're here for people, let's be here for each other as well. That will conclude my presentation. Thank you, guys.